Okay, as I said, we are in Proverbs, the second chapter. We're just going to go straight into it rather than reviewing. All I'll say about it is that in the first chapter, he's introducing his point is to try to teach his son to seek after wisdom and to make the applications to it. And so he's just continuing this on in chapter 2 of Proverbs. And he says, "My son, if," and what does that if mean? It's a conditional. It's a condition. If something, then there's always a then. And then if not, then there's always a then not as well. So he's going to list some conditions here. And the condition is, the first one he says is, if you receive my words. And notice I put all the conditions in that light blue color. And then the things that I have in the square around it, that's what he's supposed to do something with each of these things that are in a square thing. So I'll just tell you that ahead of time. If you receive, so the first thing is receive. And what do you receive? My words. And that's an additional if, and treasure. So he says, receive and treasure my words, my commands. They're essentially saying the same thing twice in a sense. And he says, my commands within you. And what that implies is you don't just let it come in one ear and go out the other. It goes in and goes inside you. You receive it within you. So he's emphasizing to his son, you need to listen to what well, actually, we have wisdom being personified here. And so wisdom is actually doing the speaking. You know, Solomon wrote it, but he personified wisdom as a female. And so he's saying, if you receive my words, that is my wisdom, if you receive my words and treasure my commands, that is the commands spoken by wisdom within you, so that you, the next thing is incline your ear. What does it mean to incline your ear?
To listen.
To listen, to pay attention. If you incline your head, you're going like this, and so it's like, what was that you're saying? So incline your ear, pay attention to what? To wisdom. And here's another condition, apply your heart. And when you apply your heart, obviously that's using, is it your literal heart he's talking about? No, what is he talking about?
Full attention. Your understand, I mean, inside.
Yeah.
Take it in.
Yeah, the center of your being, essentially, where everything, where all your thoughts and decisions are made. That's the heart that he's talking about. Apply that to understanding. And so far he said, receive, treasure, incline your ear, apply your heart, and it's all about my words, wisdom, and understanding. Then he says in verse 3, yes, if, I'm repeating the if, it's conditional. Well, first of all, on this first part, before we get to the second if, what's the if not? Oh, we haven't seen the if not yet, have we? We're still having more conditions. He's just repeating it. If you cry out for discernment, and what is that referring to? What's discernment?
Try to understand.
Okay, when you discern something, you're
Navigating.
laying out its meaning.
I see it in your head.
Yeah. Yeah, essentially it's just letting the true meaning of whatever it is come out. So if you cry out for discernment, I want to be able to figure this stuff out. And who do you cry out to? You could say
No, to wisdom.
yeah, you can say to wisdom, but when you do that, who are you really crying out to? God. He's the source of all wisdom. So, and he said, if you cry out for discernment, when you do that, what does that mean? It means you really want it. If you're just mumble under your breath, yeah, I sure would like to have some wisdom. That's not crying out for wisdom. God, give me wisdom. I want to know. I want to be able to apply the things that I know to my life. So if you cry out for discernment and lift up your voice for understanding, lifting up your voice, same thing as crying out, right? He's actually using a bit of Hebrew parallelism in these things. He's saying the same thing twice in just a little bit different words all the way through as he goes. Incline your ear, apply your heart, receive and treasure, cry out for wisdom or discernment, and lift up your voice. So all throughout the Old Testament, there's Hebrew parallelism where they just emphasize something by saying it twice in just a little bit different words. But these are conditions. You need to be seeking it, crying out for it. And then he says another if, and it's just added to the two ifs we've already had. If you seek her, seek what? Seek who? Wisdom. He's personifying wisdom. If you seek her as silver and search for her, seeking and searching are two parallel things. Search for her as for hidden treasure. Silver and the hidden treasure are parallel to each other. So you can see the Hebrew parallelism in this verse as well. But the idea is seeking and searching. When you do that, you're purposely making plans and going after whatever it is. We have some geocachers amongst us. You're going to find the geocache. What do you have to do? You have to seek, and you have to plan how you're going to do it, and you have to use the tools that you have available to go and find that geocache. So that's what he's talking about. You need to make an effort to go after it. If you do that, and how hard do you seek?
As hard as it takes until you find it.
Yeah, but what he says up there, if you know that there's a pile of silver out there someplace, how hard are you going to seek? That's how hard you need to seek after wisdom. It's just like there's a treasure out there, you know it's there, you know where it is, you just got to go find it. You're going to do that. You're going to put every effort you have into doing it because it's a valuable thing. That's literally saying that wisdom is as valuable as gold and silver. It's really important in your life to have wisdom. So now he says, if, what does he say next? Then, here's what's going to happen. If you do all these things, then you will understand the fear of the Lord and find the knowledge of God. So that's what all these ifs are about. If you do all those, if you seek it, search for it, cry out for it, all of those things, you're going to find it. You're going to understand the fear of the Lord. When you say understand, it means you're going to know what it means to fear the Lord. And if you don't know what it means to fear the Lord, then you got more seeking to do and searching to do. And you can probably keep learning all your life, more and more fine tuning of the respect and reverence for God. That's what the fear means here. Fear always has the element of actual fear, worrying about something bad happening to you. It's like I keep using the illustration of if there's a lion on a chain right there, and the chain comes right to the table there. As long as I'm standing here, I'm not afraid. I don't have to worry about him biting me. But do I still have a little bit of fear in my, actual fear? Yeah. Enough fear that I'm not going to go over there and get inside that radius of that chain. So that's how God is. God even with his love, he does, as we're going to see, he chastens those that he loves. You need to respect God, and that's the reverence. That lion is standing there. I look at that lion and think, man, what a powerful creature that is. That's awesome. Look at those claws. Look at those big teeth he's got. And there's reverence for that creature that God has made. Well, God is that lion times a billion. He deserves the respect and the reverence, everything that we can give to him. And if you seek after and search and cry out and everything for it, you can get to where you really do appreciate God and what he's capable of and how he is. And it's not just respecting what might bad happen to you, but looking at all the good stuff that can happen to you. If if you know what God is capable of giving us, that should generate a ton of respect. Man, this guy is incredible that he can do these things. The lesson this morning is going to be one aimed at trying to increase our knowledge or our ability to reverence God. But that's the whole goal of seeking after wisdom, is so that you'll know how to relate to God. You'll know how to look at him and respect him and find knowledge about him. Learn what you can about God, because the more you learn about him, the more you want to be with him, the more you know about his love, but also the more you know about what the consequences would be if you decide to just follow your own way and let him take a back seat in your life, or kick him out the door of the car, set him by the side of the road, and you keep going. That's not a good thing. That's not something you want to have happen. So you got to seek after it. People that are just barely know anything about God, how much respect can they really have? They can't. The more you know, the more respect that you can have, and that's what you're aiming for. And so he says, seek, all that, all these conditions to get understanding, get knowledge. And why would you want to get knowledge? Well, he says in the next verse starts with a 4, which is, here's why. The Lord gives wisdom. You want to seek after it? Here's why you want to seek after it, because God gives it to it. God gives wisdom. From his mouth come knowledge and understanding. Now, how do we know what comes out of God's mouth? By the words that he spoke and that were written down to us or for us, written down for everyone. Out of his mouth come knowledge and understanding. And so if you want to know knowledge and understanding, you got to look at the things that he has said. And so that's why you seek after all this stuff, because God is the source of it. Out of his mouth comes knowledge and understanding. And it says he stores up sound wisdom for the upright. He is a shield to those who walk uprightly. So this sound wisdom, is there such a thing as unsound wisdom? The wisdom of this world, right? So,
But how, grandpa, he went to the older elders, they told him to do one thing, which was sound wisdom. And he went to the younger group and they told him to do another thing. He didn't use the sound wisdom.
okay, that's perfect.
There's two parts.
Perfect example there. People think they're wise, they know stuff, and they'll give you advice, but it may not be sound advice. I mean, we say sound advice all the time, seldom say sound wisdom, but really it's the same thing. Sound advice means advice that is something that really works and something that aligns with God. That's what God does. He stores up sound wisdom, not the fake false wisdom, but the good sound wisdom. And he says, 4, that's another, here's why. Oh, no, pardon me, this is not the here's why kind of 4. He stores up wisdom for the upright. those that are not upright, what do they do with this wisdom? They don't receive it. They don't accept it. So sound wisdom is only for the people that are upright, that are wanting to be on God's side. That he stores it up for them, which is you and me. He stores it up for us. And he has had it written down in the Bible for us. And as we've seen in the last weeks, the heavens declare the glory of God, shout out his wisdom and power. And the lesson this morning is going to be along that line as well. And so he stores it up, and he is a shield to those who walk uprightly. What does the shield do? It protects. There's one out there who's trying to derail you, trying to get you to follow after false things. God can protect you from that one, and he can be a shield to those. Who's he a shield to? The ones that walk uprightly, the ones that are trying to do the right thing and doing the best that they can to do it. And so this is protection from harm, from temptation, from danger. God not only can, but he will do that for us. He will protect us. Then it says in the next verse, he guards the paths of justice. Okay, so you got paths of justice. What would the opposite of that be?
Destruction, paths of destruction.
Okay, now which one does he guard?
Yes.
The people that are heading in the right direction, he protects them. What about the ones that are going off? No protection there from God. And he preserves the way of his saints. There's more Hebrew parallelism. Saints and the just people are the same, guarding and preserving, the same kind of thing. God takes care of the people that are trying to do right, and he'll take care of you. Here's another then. And then means this is the conclusion. This is what will happen. We've had all these ifs, and then he's going to repeat the conclusion. You can see how I've circled then and then connected it with the green down below. That's really saying the same thing as he's already also said. Then you will understand righteousness and justice, equity, and every good path when wisdom enters your heart. That's when this happens, is when wisdom enters your heart and knowledge is pleasant to your soul. Discretion will preserve you. So somebody that doesn't have wisdom, they can't have discretion, because that's what discretion is using what you know and making good decisions about it to affect how you conduct your life. So by seeking after justice, crying out, or after wisdom and crying out for it, God will preserve you. He'll guard you, and you'll understand righteousness, justice, equity, and every good path. That is when wisdom enters your heart. So it comes back to things that he had said in the earlier part of this chapter that we just read. Let wisdom come into you, take it in, and when you let it enter your heart, then you'll be protected because you understand righteousness, justice, and equity. You understand how to live your life in a right way, and God protects those that living uprightly. And then he says, well, after he says knowledge is pleasant to your soul, that means you like knowledge. You love gaining knowledge. There's a lot of people around, even in the church, that they don't really care that much about learning anything. They don't show up at class, and they really, they might pick up something during the lesson, but they're not shouting out, crying out for knowledge and understanding. They're not seeking it. We need to love to learn. If you don't love to learn, you need to cultivate that. Start by learning things, just like with anything else. You start with little stuff, easy stuff, and then you work towards the harder stuff as you go. But it should be in every one of our hearts to just want to know all we can about God. because that's where all the answers are. That's where the protection is. That's where understanding is. And keeping on his side is where that is. It says, understanding will keep you to deliver you from the ways of evil. Doesn't say deliver you from evil. What does he say he's delivering you from? From the ways of evil. Keep you from doing stuff. Keep you out of the pathways of. There's a lot of pathways that you can take that are the wrong way to go. By doing all the things that we've just been talking about, that will deliver us, keep us out of those paths of evil, out of those ways of evil. And this is the first in a series of froms. He's going to say it'll deliver you from. First one is from the ways of evil. Then the next one is from the man who speaks perverse things. Perverse means evil, unrighteous things. There's people out there that like to talk that way, like to speak, and you can be influenced by them if you don't have wisdom. Wisdom will deliver you from those people that speak perverse things. Maybe perverse things like God is dead, or there is no God, or any number of other perverse things that you can think of. But the only way you're going to be delivered from those guys is by having an understanding and a knowledge of God. The lesson this morning that I'm going to be preaching is aimed at fighting against those that would want to say, we're all just an accident. We're, somehow a big bang happened. We don't know how it happened, but somehow a big bang happened. And then next thing you know, there's amino acids forming in the water, and lightning strikes, and all of a sudden you got life beginning and that sort of thing. There's no God. Is that a perverse thing to say? Yes, it very much is. If you know God, you just stand up, say, you have no idea what you're even talking about to anybody that tries to tell you that. So anyway, deliver you from those that speak perverse things, and deliver you from those who leave the paths of uprightness to walk in ways of darkness. There's a lot of people that are doing that. And what are they telling you? Come on, this is fun. Let's go. Let's do this. We'll have great times. That kind of thing. If you have wisdom, if you know God, what are you going to say to those people? No, not me. I'm not going there. I got a better place to go. So that wisdom will deliver you from that, from these people who, verse 14, who rejoice in doing evil and delight in the perversity of the wicked. We all know somebody like that. We've had people in our life, maybe at school or maybe on the job, or who knows, maybe in your family, people that don't really care about God. They just want to go out and have a big time, do fun stuff. And by fun, I mean things that they interpret as fun, like going out and getting drunk on the weekend, not being able to remember what happened, but they know they had fun. That's yeah. Gene?
What you're talking about so far very much describes the LGBT movement that's rampant in our society. Turn on TV, you hear it, our kids are being taught that's another alternate lifestyle.
Yeah. I mean, that's a perfect example also. People that they delight in the perversity of the wicked. That's about as perverse as you get. They delight in it. But what happened to Sodom and Gomorrah because of it? Fire and hail, or fire and brimstone came down out of the heavens and burned the whole place up. Yeah.
Last night, Randy and I were walking the street of Wenatchee, and the main ave, and if you guys will take notice, the new banners are for family to a group of young men went to the city, and I guess you put in that you want to do the banner for that month, because every month, in the past in June is when they put up the the rainbow thing, the pride thing. And so they got first, so they got to put up this wonderful banners now are in Wenatchee. But the thing that we noticed in some of the storefront windows, they put the old pride ones up. So I want to go back, celebrate diversity. I want to go back through and mark down what stores put that in their windows.
Yeah.
Because I need to make, and I'm just letting you guys know too, that you might want to do the same is, call, but these young men, went to the city council and they got their, a good flag put up in our town. So it's really good.
Okay, good. Well, that's the one thing about that movement. We've just been reading it here in chapter 2. Seek after it like gold and silver, get after it, do it. They get after it. And they push and push and push, and they really get after it. And they've had a lot of success, as we all know, in doing that. Well, are we pushing back? Not very much. And we need to be pushing back. And
They make you feel, their goal is to make you feel like you're a hater.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I am not a hater, I just know people.
yeah, and that's what we have to fight is, what is the definition? You've placed the definition on us that doesn't fit. It's not right. You can't, I'm not going to let you do that. That's what we all need to be pushing back, and don't let people ramrod or run you over, because that's what they're doing. So anyway, seek after it, go for it. Just like it's a treasure, which it is. Go after it. Don't, if you do that, you're going to be delivered from the people that we've just been talking about, those who enjoy and delight in perversity, whose ways are crooked and who are devious in their paths. All you have to do is look at any news program. I don't care whether it's fake news or I don't even know if there is real news anymore, but you look out there and you see people following in devious paths. Look up in Minnesota, the corruption and everything that they've been talking about going on there. I don't know how many $1 billion going over to Somalia or whatever. You look in California, I don't care. You probably look in this town too. There's graft and people doing favors and all this kind of stuff, devious in their paths. You don't want to be involved with those folks. It's hard, it's bad enough to be affected by them, but you don't want to take part in it yourself. And how do you get delivered from it? Learning about God, knowing his ways. That's what Solomon is saying. You gotta seek after it and look out for it, cry out for it. Then you'll know, you'll understand. But if you don't seek after it, you're just going to be sitting there ignorant and you'll get run over.
Like we are.
Yeah, you get run over.
Feel like you've just been, yeah, just like, what just happened?
Yeah, people that you never would have dreamed would fall in behind these folks, even in the church. I hope not many, but are saying, "Oh, well, they're trying to do right." I mean, that they can't help how they were born. All the arguments that you talk about, and I didn't mean this whole lesson to be about that, but that's a good example of what's going on. But the way to get around it all is knowing what God says, what his will is, what his commands are, and how he wants things to be. It's all there. It's in his words that he spoke. They're written down in the Bible. It's there, but you have to look for it. You have to want to understand it.
I think we have to pay closer attention to is the diversity or the perversity of language today. We have created a language that is so far out from what we can all remember as young people, that it's unbelievable that people can talk that way. I mean, it just, you hear them say these things and you go, I mean, I shake my head. How can they do that publicly? How, and somehow to try to get find a way to get rid of some of the stuff they're allowing to be in dictionaries today that's called language, instead of just allowing it rolling over for it. And I think you made a good point. We all tend to sit back here and, nobody likes to be called names. Nobody likes to be, told they're, have no clue and what have you. But the reality is we do have a clue. And we need to make more of that when it comes up, when you hear young people using the words that they use today. And, I mean, we're talking kids in kindergarten, first grade, second grade, that kind of stuff. It's very alarming that the perversity of language has become so great.
Yeah. Well, one thing I was just thinking of as you were talking, when you were a child and you saw a rainbow, what do you think about? God. Child today, when they see a rainbow, they think of the symbol that's on all those flags and everything. They have changed the definition of rainbow, or perverted, added another one that people, when they see it, it reminds them of something that God never intended them to be reminded of, and doesn't remind them of what God did intend for them to be reminded of. And
They're gonna take that. I mean, for something so perverse. Take what God gave us as a promise, he'll never flood the earth. And they've taken that away and now made it perverse.
yeah, and I've thought often, we need to take back the rainbow, give it the meaning that God intended for it to mean, and don't let people get away with that kind of stuff. There's another phrase that I despise, and that is your truth. You hear that all the time. Well, this is my truth. No, you don't have your truth, my truth. You just have the truth. And what if you think something that doesn't agree with the truth, you can call it your truth if you want, but it isn't truth. And we've accepted, people have swallowed that pill that you can each have your own truth. You go your way, I'll go mine. And no, that's not how it works. That's a misunderstanding of God, not knowing his ways and his commandments. That's why it's so important to follow after this advice that Solomon gives, that he personifies wisdom as giving this advice, because that's how we get through life without getting messed up and without chasing after the wrong kind of stuff. Then he says, deliver you from the past, and to deliver you from, here's another from the immoral woman. Now, I used to think, well, why does he just pick on women? What about, well, who's he talking to? He's talking to his son. Does he need to warn his son about,
Look what he grew up with.
well, his mother may have been one,
Well, I mean, Solomon had how many wives and home? Look what he grew up,
yeah.
and it didn't make him happy. And he's trying to say, that didn't make me happy.
Yeah. And so when you see that, a lot of people would say, look, all he's just talking about is women. Well, you're not understanding. Would the same thing apply to a young woman to be delivered from an immoral man? We gotta realize that God doesn't say everything there is. He gives us principles in many times, and the principle that holds for a young man with an immoral woman would equally apply to a young woman and an immoral man. You need to be delivered from the immorality in a sense, is what we're talking about, and from the seductress who flatters with her words, who forsakes the companion of her youth and forgets the covenant of her God. Now, many people think this is talking about a prostitute, but it could apply to that, but it could apply to anyone. How many married women have you ever heard of that had an affair with somebody? You know, well, that's an immoral thing, and we need to be delivered from that. And just the opposite would apply. How many men have had affairs with someone? You don't want to get yourself caught up in that. I mean, it really hurts. It causes a lot of damage. And so we need to be delivered from those things. Immorality means that you have forgotten the covenant of God. The covenant is what's moral. That's where morality is God's covenant, God's law, God's will. You forget that, that's when immorality comes in. And I should have made this that turquoise color, the 4. Here's why. Here's why you want to avoid this, be delivered from this seductress, this immoral woman. Here's why. Her house leads down to death. That's why you want to be delivered from that. Her paths lead to the dead. Hebrew parallelism, again, saying the same thing twice for emphasis. You need to be delivered from immorality because the pathway that takes you down is the path to death, to the dead. None who go to her return, nor do they regain the path of life. So you're going down a dead end street, and it's not where you want to go. Well, I'm not going to talk about it, but we're just going to go to the next thing because he says so. And what does so mean? Conclusion. Everything I just said. Here's the so. So, and then to help us understand what he's saying there, I put in there, having been delivered from all these pitfalls. So, having been delivered from all these pitfalls, so you may walk in the way of goodness and keep the path of righteousness. So that's what he's introducing. Here's why you do all this stuff that I've been talking about, because you want to do the right thing. You want to walk in the paths of righteousness. And there's going to be a reason why. He's going to say, here's why. Here's why. And we're going to talk about that next week because our time right now is up. And so we'll take up where we left off next week. Thank you guys for your attention and for your comments and questions. We'll be back again in 15 minutes for our worship service.